Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jay Cohn. It's a big day for the Billings St. Jude Dream Home giveaway. Fewer than 500 tickets left, and we're selling them live tonight here in the Q2 studios.
I'm Janelle Slade. First, we begin tonight on the Montana political scene. It's official. Bozeman Democrat Kathleen Williams is taking another run at Montana's seat in the U.S. House.
Williams unveiling her plans to a crowd of supporters at a rally in downtown Billings within the past hour.
Q2 Samantha Sullivan was on hand for Williams' announcement and joins us now from the newsroom with details. Sammy.
Well, Jay and Janelle, last November, Kathleen Williams lost a close race with Congressman Greg Gianforte for Montana's lone U.S. Congress seat. Today, she took that first step to secure her party's nomination for that same office in the 2020 election. The former Bozeman legislator made her plans known to a vocal crowd of supporters outside of the Yellowstone County Courthouse in downtown Billings. Incumbent Republican Congressman Greg Gianforte hasn't yet announced what his future plans entail, although he is believed to be considering a run for governor. Kathleen Williams highlighted some of her campaign themes today, including affordable health care for all and access to public lands.
I don't make promises I can't keep. My promise to all Montanans is that I will listen no matter where in the state you live, and regardless of your political leanings. Over the next 18 months, I look forward to earning your vote to be Montana's representative in Congress.
Now, Democratic state lawmaker Tom Winter of Missoula announced earlier this week he too will seek the nomination for the U.S. House for the Democrat Party. Montana's primary next year takes place on June 2nd. Jay and Janelle.
All right, thanks so much, Sammy.
Missing and murdered Indigenous women, an issue here in Montana and the nation that communities are now trying to create more awareness about.
Well, today the campus of MSU Billings marked the start of an awareness march that ended in the heart of downtown. Q2's Zoe Zandora takes us there.
Best friend, she was murdered.
This march put on by MSU Billings and partners is create awareness in the community and bring justice to the crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women.
He's given us a chance to speak loud, silent no more.
The only other things in this world that you have to prove their breed are horses and dogs and Native Americans.
Those that are still, missing. Yep. Those that have been murdered, not by choice. Those that have lost their lives because of a sacrifice. Yep. We're here because of them.
Nearly 1,000 people gathered at MSU Billings to start the march and made their way down 27th Street, finishing at the Yellowstone County Courthouse lawn.
Murdered and missing women have gone on far before it has come to attention.
Activists, community members, family and friends remembering missing and murdered Indigenous women. The murder rate of Native women being 10 times more than the national average.
All these Indigenous women and these Indigenous people that go missing, we feel it, and you hold your babies a little closer that night.
Senator Steve Daines, who believes missing and murdered Native women is a significant problem in Montana, has introduced 4 different legislative actions to combat crimes towards Native Americans.
We walked humbly today in this march. What's lacking is justice, and we must bring justice to these murdered and missing Indigenous women.
Native crimes on federal lands, not a whole lot of people will take us serious.
Runs Above says he feels things are heading in a good direction, and he is hopeful that community outreach like the march will help bring awareness to the community and the state.
Turnout was awesome, phenomenal. People came together, both native, non-native, but he's just a human being, it's a human being thing. So, but yeah, we came together in a good way.
In Billings, Zoe Zandora, MTN News.
Thanks, Zoe. Zoe tells us just yesterday, Senator Daines brought forward a bill to recognize May 5th as a National Day of Awareness for missing and murdered Native women and girls.
In Miles City, school officials there maintained they were unaware that a former athletic trainer was sexually abusing dozens of male athletes decades ago. This all coming from new court filings today in Custer County from the district's attorneys. The school district says James Jensen was working as a volunteer for stipend pay in the late 1990s and went to great lengths to hide his abuse. Jensen pleaded guilty back in March to federal charges of coercing. He's facing now a civil suit where dozens of male athletes say Jensen performed sexual massages in order to improve performance through his system called the program. The new filings say that Jensen avoided recruiting children of administrators as targets for his program for fear that he would be caught. These latest filings in response to interviews in March where former athletes said they told teachers and coaches at the school of the abuse, but that no one stopped it. Jensen also faces criminal charges in Custer County for allegedly possession of child pornography.
Well, what started as a group of volunteers right here in Billings advocating for women's health care has grown into 5 health centers across Montana.
And this year, Planned Parenthood of Montana celebrating 50 years serving the state. Q2's Andrea Lutz is here with a look back and also a look ahead. Andrea.
Well, that's right. It's a big year for Planned Parenthood. Through the years, Planned Parenthood has seen no shortage of controversy, though, especially on a national scale, as the issue of abortion continues to be a highly political topic important to so many. Still, the CEO of Planned Parenthood of Montana looking ahead to the next 50 years of progress in healthcare.
50 years.
It's a long time building that trust.
Trust CEO Martha Stahl says happened through advocacy, education, and healthcare.
The breadth of the work that we do has really grown over time.
In 1969, Planned Parenthood was started by a group of volunteers in Billings. From there, it's grown to 5 clinics across Montana.
Just as a science and a way of practicing healthcare, things have changed so dramatically.
And a dramatic number of Montanans served. Stahl says they see 10,000 patients a year coming from all types of backgrounds.
After 50 years, we now see, of course, moms bringing their daughters in and dads bringing their daughters and sons in. But we also see patients that we saw their mother and we saw their grandmother.
But what sets them apart seems to keep them in the spotlight. Patients seeking abortions, Planned Parenthood performing them.
Abortion is an issue that's deeply personal to people.
And deeply debated. In Georgia, lawmakers discussing a contentious bill over abortion called the Heartbeat Bill.
That has a beating heart, is a living, distinct person.
In Maryland, a measure to disqualify clinics like Planned Parenthood from federal funding if they include abortion referrals.
The majority of people are against public funding abortion, whether they're pro-life or pro-choice.
And here in Montana, multiple abortion bills discussed by lawmakers, one proposing to ban abortions as early as 8 weeks into pregnancy.
Most people support Planned Parenthood. They support the care that we provide. They know about what it is that we do. They want to see us continue to receive government funding, federal funding for family planning care.
Even with so much discussion over abortion, Stahl hopes folks will focus on the bigger role Planned Parenthood provides to women and men for education about sexuality and resources for reproductive health.
What I go back to is those patients and thinking about the difference we've made in the lives of patients.
She says making a difference in lives and communities, it's a goal for the next 50 years.
And this Saturday, there is a 50th anniversary celebration. It's going to happen in Billings with other cities to come too. The celebration tomorrow from 5 to 8 at the Post at the Billings Depot. Jeanelle.
All right, thanks so much, Andrea. Well, Medicaid expansion came to a standstill today at the state capitol as Republicans on a Senate panel voted to table the bill. But as MTN's Mike Dennison reports, that's certainly not the last word on one of the state's biggest bills.
The Senate Public Health Committee listened to an hour of testimony on House Bill 658, with almost all of it in favor of Medicaid expansion.
A doctor who cares for cancer patients spoke on a panel about a year ago, and he said, I will always see these people, but now, thanks to Medicaid expansion, I'm seeing them when I can do good.
The House last week approved the bill, which continues the $700 million a year program that provides health coverage to 96,000 low-income adults in the state. Yet, when it came time for the Senate committee to vote on the bill Friday, Republican Senator Jason Small of Busby quickly moved to table the measure. And all 5 of his fellow Republicans on the panel joined him, making it a 6-4 vote to kill House Bill 658. GOP committee members had peppered sponsor Ed Buttrey with tough questions during the hearing, including why the legislature should continue the program when a ballot measure to do the same was voted down in November.
Can you help me or help the committee with some line of constitutional reasoning that will help us justify voting against the will of the people on this issue?
I certainly have not seen the people that you're talking about that say that this state should not have the program. I don't know how better to answer that other than We have seen great support in recent polls for Medicaid expansion.
But the committee vote doesn't mean the bill is dead. Later Friday, the full Senate transferred the bill to a friendlier committee, Financing Claims, where it will be heard on Monday. Senator Small also told MTN News that he supports the bill and intends to carry it when it comes to the Senate floor. Confused? Don't be. Despite the parliamentary moves Friday, there's little doubt this bill is coming to the Senate floor, where it should pass, and eventually arrive at Governor Bullock's desk for his signature. At the Capitol, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Thanks, Mike. Now, the federal government pays for 90% of the program's costs.
Still ahead on tonight's 5:30 News, it's coming down to just a handful of tickets left. Do you have your ticket to win the St. Jude Dream Home? We're live in the Q2 studios selling tickets tonight. More on that right after this.
And in sports, Scott hears from new Bobcats basketball coach Danny Sprinkle.
And coming up in weather, we're going to be talking about an elevated grassland fire risk coming up this weekend. We'll have all the details coming your way in a few more minutes.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.